main thing to understand about your fear and anxiety is that anxiety and fear they are a whole brain response. Whole brain meaning your left brain and your right brain. Now, the left and right hemispheres of the brain are not the same. The left brain controls your logic, the right brain controls your emotion. So, whenever an external input presents itself, whether it's a ball of socks in the corner that you think is a rat, or whether it's an actual human being pointing a gun at your face, whenever external data presents itself, the brain, both the left brain and the right brain, simultaneously get that input. They get that input because our five senses, sight, sound, feeling, smell, taste, all five of those senses are connected to both hemispheres of the brain simultaneously. So that means when something that triggers your anxiety or triggers your fear presents itself, it's presenting itself to both your logical brain, your rational brain, and your emotional brain or your irrational brain. It's connecting to both simultaneously. For most people, they don't realize that. They don't realize that the input is hitting both your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere simultaneously. The makeup of the brain, the chemical nature of the brain, means that the right hemisphere of your brain processes information faster because it relies on a series of cognitive biases, internal beliefs, and assumptions. That's why creative people like artists, musicians, even carpenters, you'll find that creative people often create very similar ways, meaning a musician will create more of the same kind of music. That's why you see rappers create more rap, country musicians create more country songs, right? Harp players create more harp music. It's because their creative brain is very congruous. It's very consistent. They see the world through this lens of biases, predispositions, and assumptions. So that makes the right side of your brain, the irrational, emotional side of your brain, it makes it work very quickly. Whereas your logical brain, the left side of your brain, that's the part of your brain that's charged with executing rational thought, mathematics, engineering, problem solving, the scientific method. Those things go much slower. It takes much more time. That's why you can write a poem or you can write a paragraph, but depending on whether you are gifted in poetry or prose, you will write one or the other faster, right? Because your left logical brain, your rational brain, works through a series of processes, not a series of assumptions. So going back to our point, some external fear input presents itself. Both sides of the brain get that fear input at the same time. Well, guess which side of the brain comes up with a conclusion about that object fastest? The irrational brain, the right side of the brain, because it just processes everything through a series of assumptions and biases. The left side of the brain is still processing the input. It hasn't reached a conclusion yet, but both the left side and the right side of the brain will come to a place in the cerebral cortex, the core of your brain, that will create a physiological response to that input. It's really just a race. It's a race between the left brain and the right brain to who reaches a conclusion first and dictates the physiological response to the external input.